Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we're going to offer the singing of one song, Shuddha Bhakata by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. It's on page 49 of this songbook. Somewhere around that in the other ones. Do you know what is it in that one?
This one is
52. 52 or 49, Shuddha Bhakata. Shuddha Bhakata Charanarenu Bhajana Anukula. Shuddha Bhakata Charanarenu Bhajana Anukula. Shuddha Bhakata Charanarenu Bhajana Anukula. Shuddha Bhakata Charanarena Bhajana Anukula. Bhakata Seva Paramasiddhi Premalatikare Mula. Bhakata Seva Bhakata Seva Paramasiddhi Premalatikare Mula. Bhakata Seva Paramasiddhi Premalatikare Mula. Madhavatete Bhakti Janani Jatane Palana Kori. Madhavatete Bhakti Janani Madhanabhama. Krishna Basati Basati Boli Parama Adare Bori. Krishna Basati Basati Boli Paramadare Boli. Shuddha Bhakata Charanarenu Bhajana Anukula. Shuddha Bhakata Gauramara Shesa Bestane Karelo Brahmana Range. Gauramara Shesa Bestane Sesabastane Herivo Ami Pranayi Bhakata Sange. Sesabastane Herivo Ami Pranayi Bhakata Sange. Sesabastane Herivo Ami Pranayi Bhakata Sange. Mridanga Badya Shunite Mana Abasara Sadhe Jache. Mridanga Sadya Shunite Mana Abasara Sadhe Jache. Haramta Gora Bihita Kirtana Shuni Anande Hridaya Nache. Gora Kita Kirtana Sune Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Yugala Murti Deki Amora Paramananda Hoya Jugala Murti Deki Amora Prasada Seva Korite Hoya Shakala Prapancha Jaya Prasada Seva Korite Hoya Sakala Prapancha Jaya Jedina Grihe Bhajana Deki Grihete Chire Jedina Grihe Bhajana Deki Grihete Golokabaya Charana Siddhu Dekiya Ganga Sukana Simapaya Charana Siddhu Dekiya Ganga Sukha Simapaya Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Tulasi Deki Juraye Pran Madhava Toshani Jani Tulasi Deki Juraya Pran Madhava Toshani Jani Gora Priya Sakasevane Jivane Satakamani Gora Priya Sakasevane Jivana Satakamani Bhakti Vinod Krishna Bhajane Anukula Paya Jaha Bhakti Vinod Krishna Bhajane Anukula Paya Jaha Prati Divase Paramasuke Svikara Koroyeta Paridivasa Paramasuke Svikara Koroyeta Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Bhakata Seva Parama Siddhi Prema Latikare Mula Bhakata Seva Parama Siddhi Prema Latikare Mula. Dust from the lotus feet of pure devotees is conducive to devotional service, while service to the Vaishnavas is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. I observe... Oh, sorry. Oh, it's a different translation. I thought you were going to a different one. You're right. It's just the books are different. My apologies. Keep going. Yeah, at least 2 decades, right? Ki Jai. But the original was perfect. It just became more perfect in 2017. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Eta Shuni Mahaprabhura Haila Krudhamana Krodha Veshe Bale Tare Tarjana Vachana Eta Shuni Mahaprabhure Haila Krudhamana Krodha Veshe Bale Tare Tarjana Vachana Eta Shuni Mahaprabhu Haila Kudamana Krodha Veshe Bale Tara Tarjana Vachana Eta Shuni Mahaprabhu Haila Kudamana Krodha Veshe Bale Tare Tarjana Vachana Eta Shuni Mahaprabhu Haila Kudamana Krodha Veshe Bale Tare Tarjana Vachana Eta Shuni Mahaprabhu Haila Kudhamana Krodha Veshe Bale Tare Tarjana Vachana Eta Thus Shuni Hearing Mahaprabhura of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Haila there was Kruddha angry Mana mind Krodha Avesh out of intense anger Bale says Tare unto him Tarjana chastising Vachana words. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared greatly angry, and in that angry mood he spoke some words chastising him. Please repeat. Hearing this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared greatly angry, and in that angry mood he spoke some words chastising him. No purport. Text 51. Are papi bhakta dveshi tore na udharimo koti janma e mata kidaya khayaimo. O sinful person, envious of pure devotees, I shall not deliver you. Rather, I shall have you bitten by these germs for many millions of years. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. We should note herein that all our sufferings in this material world, especially from disease, are due to our past sinful activities. I'll repeat that. We should note herein that all our sufferings in this material world, especially from disease, are due to our past sinful activities. And of all sinful activities, actions directed against a pure devotee out of sheer envy are considered extremely severe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted Gopal Chapal to understand the cause of his suffering. Any person who disturbs a pure devotee engaged in broadcasting the holy name of the Lord is certainly punished like Gopal Chapal. This is the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we shall see, one who offends a pure devotee can never satisfy Chaitanya Mahaprabhu unless and until he sincerely regrets his offense and thus rectifies it. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. So, two verses here. The first one, hearing this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared greatly angry, and in that angry mood he spoke some words chastising him. Some time ago we were giving a class and talking about how sometimes the pure devotee actually gets angry, and we were talking about this verse in Bhagavad Gita, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Momopashrita Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Puta Madbhavam Agata, that those who become by knowledge become free from Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha, attachment, fear and anger. Thank you, Bruce. Attachment, fear and anger, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha, Manmaya Momopasrita, become able to be absorbed in Krishna by being freed from these things. Bahavo Jnana Tapasa, through this austerity of knowledge, many people, Puta Mad Bhavam Agata, they attained my nature, Krishna says. So we can see here that Lord Chaitanya is being described as being very angry. So how is it that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying that we have to give up anger to enter into his nature, and at the same time we can see that his nature is sometimes to get angry. So it's a very can be seemingly a conflicting instruction. If one is not in the bhakti line, hearing from the bhakti acharyas, if one has an impersonal conception of the Supreme, that the Supreme is beyond all of these qualities, then it's very hard to understand this. But following in the those who are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and followers of the four Vaishnava Sampradayas, they can understand, and we hear from the Shastra, Janmadhyasya Yataha, even right to the Vedanta Sutra, that everything is actually there in the Supreme. Everything is coming from the Supreme. The Supreme Lord contains everything. Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. He's very attached to his devotees. Raga Bhaya. He is fearful of his mother when she's carrying the stick. Krodha. He's angry at the non-devotees. So all of these qualities have their perfection in the existence of the Supreme Lord and in his spiritual existence, in the spiritual world, in a pure form. And of course, in the material world, they become very negative things in relation to the material world. It's a great impediment on the spiritual path to be attached to particular outcome. You know, so much of Bhagavad Gita is there from the very beginning. What is that? In the very beginning, that don't be attached to heat and cold, wind and rain, just go and do your duty, all these things. So it's a great impediment. But any of these things in relation to Krishna becomes the cause of advancement, and the cause of ultimate liberation. In a sense, devotees don't really talk so much about liberation, but in the sense of not being involved in material consciousness. And of course, we sing in this Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. This is from Narottam Das Thakur's Prema Bhakti Chandrika. And further on in that work, Narottam Das Thakur lays this point out very clearly. He says, let my attachment be to Krishna, let my, he gives all of these, let me be angry at those who are against pure devotional service. Like this, he gives all of these seemingly negative qualities, but he frames them in a spiritual way of how to utilize them. And we can see here the Lord himself is exhibiting this. He's not angry at his desire or his plan not getting fulfilled or anything like that, like everybody's angry in this material world for. But he's angry because his devotee has been blasphemed. His devotee has been attacked, basically. This Gopal Chapel had, if you weren't here for these classes, in this section, I think yesterday, Chandrasekhar probably must have read all of these verses, that this Gopal Chapel had left all the worship items of worshipping Durga Devi at the door of Srivas Thakur as a way of saying, oh look, he's a Shakta, he's into more horrible kind of worship and more bad activities. He's not really a Vaishnava like this. And of course, Srivas Thakur just came out the front and called everybody, said, hey, have a look, come, look what here, I've been worshipping Goddess Durga, look at all the things here. And everybody knew, oh, come on, this is, somebody's done this. You have no interest in these kind of materialistic worship processes. And they cleaned up his place and took the things away. But Lord Chaitanya was very upset, was very angry, we can read here. So this is bhakti. Bhakti is not a process of negating or becoming a stone or becoming a light, but bhakti is a process of actually increasing ourselves, increasing our qualities. Not that we increase our qualities, but through the process of purification of following bhakti, we actually become more of a person, not less of a person. We have more personal attributes. We are able to relate to others, to understand others, how others are experiencing what they're doing. Just like Srila Prabhupada, many of his followers noted that he could immediately understand what was going on in their heart. If they were feeling frustrated about something, or they were having some difficulty, Srila Prabhupada could immediately see. It's not that the devotee has to separately try to be what's it called? Empathetic and those things. Of course, because we're still conditioned, we're not pure devotees, then we can learn about these things and check ourselves. Am I having empathy? Am I actually understanding where this other person's coming from, what they're actually feeling? Am I actually understanding that, or am I just living in my own little world? What's happening? We can definitely utilize these things and understanding of these things. But the ultimate issue of that, the ultimate process of attaining all of these things is to become purified, to become a purer devotee as we go along, and working towards that state of becoming a pure devotee that has no other desire and no other attachment than to Krishna and the Lord's service. So we're on that path, and so this is, as I said, the glory of the bhakti path over the other paths of yoga, is that it directly gets to this point of being a person, being a transcendental person. When devotees hear this philosophy that we're all just parts of God and we're all God and ultimately we're all just merged, and they actually feel horrible at this idea, because it actually, for one, it takes away the loving service, it takes away that relationship between the Lord and the living entity, and also it makes one less of a person. To have all these qualities, to become, to share love, to feel upset when things are not done according to the Lord's way. These are all personal characteristics that the pure devotees and the Lord is manifesting here in this pastime. So in the second verse, we say, "O sinful person, envious of pure devotees, I shall not deliver you, rather I shall have you bitten by these germs for millions of years." So Srila Prabhupada writes here, we repeated this verse, that all our sufferings in this material world, especially from disease, are due to our past sinful activities. And of all sinful activities, actions directed against the pure devotee. So first of all, that sentence, this is something that devotees meditate on. It's a type of, what do you call that, absolute responsibility, that all our sufferings in this material world, they're ultimately, they may come through different agencies. Now, they may be through the government, or they may be through other people, or they may be through the diseases as being described here. But ultimately, the ultimate cause is our own sinful activities. Sinful means activities that are harmful to ourselves and harmful to others. And such activities that are harmful to ourselves and harmful to others, they may appear to be giving some progress. They may appear that they're making us progress, making us more wealthy, more famous, or more whatever, but actually they are simply giving future sufferings. We can see when we look at with the astrological science, you can see when you look at the chart of people, the different curses and different afflictions and different things. Everybody has that's here, and we can see that due to previous sinful activities. And the suffering is coming in this way, coming in that way, in different ways. So if we know this, if we accept this, then we can make a very bright future for ourselves, even separate from the great blessings we're getting from Lord Chaitanya, from Krishna, from all the devotees in bhakti. Even apart from that, we can even make our future less suffering if we just understand this simple point. Of course, everybody has heard of karma. This point is there, that by causing suffering to others, we'll cause suffering ourselves. We have to be careful in the current world. There's many different causes of suffering are there, and many different people are feeling like, I am this victim, I am victim of this, victim of that. And yes, that is true. And yes, we should try to stamp out any kind of abuse or any kind of thing like that from our society and from the world in general. That should be there. And at the same time, as when we're adults, when we're mature devotees, we have to look at the ultimate cause of our own suffering is our own desire to try to control and enjoy in this mature world. And until we give up that desire to control and enjoy the material world, then there'll be no end to the suffering. Srila Prabhupada goes on here, and of all sinful activities, actions directed against a pure devotee out of sheer envy are considered extremely severe. Right? So, Srila Prabhupada's giving important point here that we might think that, activities or breaking the principles or like getting involved in breaking of 4 regular principles, that's the most heinous thing that can be done. Srila Prabhupada is saying, of all sinful activities, and there's a lot of sinful activities, of all of them, actions directed against a pure devotee out of envy are considered extremely severe. Why is that? Or we can give a simple example that just like say if a mother or father, if somebody chastises them and says, I don't like you, you're this, you're that, whatever, then obviously the person's not feeling good. Feels like, oh, what have I done? But when that person says about their children, your children are such and such, this is something I think those of us who've had the service of being teachers at school teachers, you can understand that sometimes have to be very careful about saying anything about the children, because parents get very, they get very upset if there's something said against the children. And sometimes you see in stories and things, or people will say, something about the person's mother or the person's wife or something like that, and the person gets very, very angry. So like this, I'm giving some mundane examples in this world, but a similar idea is there for the Supreme Lord. We can see here. The Supreme Lord, if one blasphemes the Lord, if one becomes a vocal atheist and writes hundreds of books about, God is this and God has caused this problem in the world, etc., etc., then the Lord obviously doesn't appreciate that, no doubt. But the Lord, He is, as we've just been describing, He has His personal feelings. We can see here, Lord Chaitanya is getting angry. He's getting angry at Gopal Chapel. It doesn't say here that the Lord pretended to be angry. No. Kruda, mana, kroda, avesha, angry mind, intense anger. So he has feelings, and when somebody blasphemes and criticizes his pure devotee, then he really, really doesn't like it. So this is you're more or less directly getting the anger of God. The Supreme Lord is you're directly invoking the direct anger of the Lord, who's so not just the material energy. You're not just going to get material reactions, but you're actually going to get a spiritual reaction from the Lord Himself. What is that? Prakriti Krimani Gunai Kamar. No, what's that verse? He is the Lord of all material energy. He's the control of all. Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Saturataram. So He's the Lord of material energy. So we will get some by breaking principles and these things, okay, so simple activities, definitely reactions will be there. But He's the Lord of all of that. So if you directly offend the Lord by offending His devotee, it's extremely severe, as Srila Prabhupada's saying here. In the Padma Purana, there's a conversation between Lord Shiva and his wife Parvati, and you can see it's a very spiritual relationship they have, because they're always talking Shastra between the two of them. And Lord Shiva, he's saying to his wife Parvati, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadiyanam samachanam. he says that of all the kinds of worship in the world, the worship of Lord Vishnu is the highest worship, but above that is even the worship of his devotees. Tadiyanam. Tadiya means like the things, like your chadar or different things, your tadiya, the things belong to you. So tadiya means the Lord's devotees. Tadiyanam samacharam, tasmat parataram, para, superior to that. Aradhananam sarvesham, of all the kinds of worship, Vishnu aradhanam param is the supreme, but tasmat parataram, superior to that even, is worship of his devotees. We can see, and I think it's one place Krishna has said, I'm not sure it's in Bhagavatam, or one place where Krishna says that you can't find me in the heart of the meditator, you can't find me where there's great sacrifices and jagras and mantras being chanted, but you can find me in the place where my pure devotees are sincerely and humbly glorifying my activities and remembering me, Krishna says. Another example of this is when Ambarish Maharaj and he was offended and Durvasa Muni was trying to attain relief from that offense, and he went all the way to Lord Vishnu and he said, please have a merciful heart to me, please be merciful to me, this Sudarshan Chakra is chasing me. And Lord Vishnu said to him, well, you're appealing to my heart, but I don't have my heart. I've given my heart to my devotees, and my heart is with Ambarish. So if you want to appeal to my heart, you need to go to him and beg forgiveness from him, because he has my heart. Many places this is said, Ajita, he's unconquerable. The Lord is cannot be conquered by anyone, but he can be conquered by his devotee. What is that? Brahma Samhita's one. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena shanta sadeva. What is that? Vedeshu adulabam atma bhakto. It cannot be found in all of the mantras and chanting and all these things, but he can be found by pure devotion, by simple love, by simple spiritual love. So many places in the Bhakti Shastras is given the same point of how the Lord is a person and he is extremely affectionate towards his devotees, and if somebody offends his devotee, then he takes it very, very personally. Takes it very, very personally, and therefore it's one of the worst things. As Prabhupada said here, directed against a pure devotee, they're considered extremely severe. Yeah, so we have to be very careful. Lord Chaitanya called this the mad elephant offense, because a mad elephant can come in a garden and actually pull out the trees. So even a creeper of devotion, a devotional creeper that has grown quite big, can even be pulled out from the roots and just thrown to the side by the mad elephant offense of offending a pure devotee. And of course the positive solution to this is to glorify and appreciate devotees. When we appreciate devotees, that they could be doing so many things, they could be engaging in material enjoyment, material progress of their life, but they're not. They're surrendering, they're serving Krishna, they're coming here in the temple, in their houses, they're spreading Krishna consciousness, they're practicing Krishna consciousness. By that appreciation, then we naturally don't feel that negative feeling to devotees. We're not impersonalists. Our process is not this or not that. I'm saying it's not this, but then I'm establishing it by not that, am I? So actually our process is to appreciate the positive. By appreciating devotees, and in our mind we can appreciate them, we can speak, wow, that's amazing what you did, how you did that activity, or how you changed that person's heart by those words, by your surrender to Krishna. We can, all these things, by appreciating devotees, and pure devotional service, then naturally we won't be inclined to perform these negative activities. And this is the I think you see those who are stayed devotees for a very long time. You can see that they're very expert at this. They're very expert at appreciating, encouraging others, and in that way, the tendency to criticize is just naturally not there. It's not that you have to really try, but at the same time, we have to. Sometimes we do get covered by the material energy. The material modes are still working, and we may feel some anger, resentment or something. And this is basically due to our own material attachment. You know, if we're attached to a certain position or a certain service or a certain thing, and if somebody else gets that, then we may think, oh, why them, why not me, something like that. These things, they come from our own material attachments. And that's why the pure devotees, they don't have any envy, because they don't want anything. They don't have any need for anything of this material world. And therefore they're not envious if somebody else gets it. They don't care. Somebody's the richest person, the most famous. They don't want that. So they have no negative feeling towards someone. So at the same time, as we're progressing, we purify our own heart through the, to not be attached to particular circumstances or anything like that, to not be attached to particular, getting some glorification or getting some recognition or whatever. If we're not attached to those things, then if some devotee is getting that, we'll feel happy. Oh wow, they're progressing. Wow, that's nice. That's good. Like that. So I'll stop there and ask for questions. Yes, Hariva. Have we got a mic? Just get the mic so it's recorded.
Thank you, Prabhu. On the question of sin, and it's like this is an honest question. It's not like I have some...
not a dishonest question.
It's not a dishonest question. Because I haven't been able to wrap my mind around the following question or theme. And so I'd love your opinion on this. You were talking about how sin is self-destructive and it also hurts others, right?
Mm.
And so could we perhaps say that even the slightest sin, like for example someone smokes a cigarette, in a way it hurts others as well, because I don't know, you're perpetuating the cigarette industry, and so is there a sin, however small it may be, that doesn't hurt others? So then you have this spectrum, right, from like smoking a cigarette or watching pornography, or to other extreme sins of, for example, murder or child abuse, right? And so where on this spectrum does the necessity to beg forgiveness from the hurt other come into the picture, especially if there's no such sin as a sin that does not hurt the other person? Where in Shastra do we find that, that specific point where you must, because we hear, for example, in discussions on Vedic Inquirer, for example, and stuff that, in response to the Apichetsu Duracharo verse, that, that's not enough, you have to actually beg forgiveness from the offended devotee, right? And Lord Chaitanya also teaches that in a few places. But where on that spectrum is it clear cut? That's what I can't figure out.
There's some description, I'm not sure where, but I think it's in the Goswami's writings, that you beg forgiveness from the person, but if you can't find them, or if they passed away, or whatever, then you chant Hare Krishna more sincerely. Just keep going chanting. And the thing is that, ultimately the sin whatever we do, like you said, it affects another person. Because just by, I'll give a simple example that's completely outside of our tradition, but there was one psychological experiment done once where a psychologist went to a place where they're extremely mental issue person that are very, very disturbed, mentally disturbed. And they were in a room and he was behind the glass and he simply sat there every day and just begged forgiveness from them. Please forgive me for whatever I've done to make you in this situation. Please forgive me, please forgive me. And they found that there were marked improvements in the people's activities, their mental health. And I don't have all the details to hand, I can look it up, but I did read that study, that's a real study. So in a sense, everything we do, and this comes, everything we do affects others. And this comes back to, as well, we first learn when we're devotees that the conditioned soul has 4 defects. And those defects are, first of all, imperfect senses. And when we have imperfect senses, we can make mistakes. And when we have mistakes, we fall into illusion. And when we're in illusion, then we cheat others. The cheating others is the corollary, it's the byproduct of having imperfect senses or being conditioned, following our own ideas. So we see everybody who's writing books, who's broadcasting their philosophy, XYZ, whatever it is, if it doesn't involve actually liberating the person from repeated birth and death, then they're further implicating the people. You know, you'll be happy by doing this, you'll be satisfied, this is the way out. They're actually affecting. So what to speak of just smoking a cigarette or the other options you gave. What about someone that's a very famous public speaker and he's motivating people to get up and get on with their life and really get into it and become materially successful? What about that person? Even that person, according to the Shastras, is cheating because what I just said, because of they're misleading people that you can be happy in this material world. And according to the Acharyas, that's a lie, that's cheating, and that's sinful. It's that simple. I mean, it sounds harsh, but it is. From the viewpoint of liberated souls, anything that doesn't liberate people it's cheating, like that. So that person who wakes up and realizes that, which is highly unlikely, because when people are very materially successful at something, it's very difficult to get them to change it, because they're like, what are you talking about? I'm 55, I'm a millionaire, I have 50,000 followers on Instagram and all these people worshipping me and saying how great and how much I've helped their life. Very difficult to convince that person that, it doesn't happen. But just say if somebody does really wake up and say, oh my God, all this, I have to actually tell them to chant pure sattvic mantras to worship the Supreme Lord and practice bhakti and actually get out of this material world. They couldn't go back and beg forgiveness from, the 10 million people they, whatever, during their career. So the instruction then is to chant very sincerely. Just like it's described that some of our acharyas were Goshti Nandis and some were Bhajan Nandis. But just by the chanting of these great souls, by their practice of devotional service, Gokashodas Babaji Maharaj, and Sabhoma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, they purified the whole atmosphere, the whole world, by their chanting. So that we can also just keep chanting, and eventually all the offenses will go. But if we know we've offended someone, it's just so much faster. It's so much more direct to go to that person, because they're holding something against us rightly because we offended them. And they say, oh, okay, I free you. Please go on. Be happy. It's much faster. But ultimately, you're right, we affect everyone in this world by our material consciousness. If we're in material consciousness, we will be violent. We have to be, and will affect other people. Yeah. Okay, something.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
What you just said is a reflection of
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, very good point. And as we progress, the idea is that we can catch ourselves at the contemplation stage, right? And we know, blah, blah, blah. But if we actually get to the stage of being angry, then we should remember these pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and said, yeah, okay, there's going to be severe consequences for this. If I once Bibi Govinda Maharaj recently have a little video I saw, just a few minute video, and he was saying that if we get really fired up and really about something, he said, in my experience, even if the I can't remember the word he used, but even if the outrage is justified, even if it's justified, he said, in my experience, people like that, it's very difficult for them to continue in devotional service. That's the difficulty. It's very difficult for them to continue on if you become so fixated on one thing. I know once I was talking to my father-in-law, Yashamati Nandan Prabhu, about the proponents of Ridvik theory back in the 90s, and he said he was talking to one leader in India at the time, and that leader said to him, this is so important, and he was getting so into it, and Yashamati Nandan Prabhu said to him, if you don't be careful, you're getting so fixated on this one issue, if you don't be careful, you're going to lose your spiritual life over this issue. And that devotee turned to him and said, I don't care if I lose my spiritual life. This is too important. Let me lose my spiritual life. This has to be done. And sort of something like that happened. We have to be careful of that getting angry, righteous anger, outrage. Yes, there are things we should be angry about, and it's right there in our Shastra. We don't need to go anywhere else. Lord Chaitanya is angry at Gopal Chapel. That is righteous. But then we see, okay, what is our ability to affect it, how we're going to do it, what are the consequences, all of those things we have to take into account with our intelligence, not just unrestricted sort of anger, because that's not, that can, like you said, get out of control. Anything else? Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Being attached to a particular outcome, like the microphone working. What if a particular outcome we feel at the time is connected to our devotional service, it'll help our devotional service,
Yeah.
but it might be materially motivated in some way? How to differentiate between the two, I suppose, is one thing.
Yeah. Then guidance from superiors is the main thing. Guidance from others, yeah. Because others can see very easily like what our motive is, whereas to us it might be. And they might say, yeah, that's good, but just wait, or that's a good, but not in this situation. This isn't the right time for you to do that. That's your nature and you should do that, but in this place, or like that. And at the same time, we shouldn't be too worried that there's some slight material motive in what we do. My Guru Maharaj Jayapataka Maharaj, he wrote to Srila Prabhupada once in the early 70s that he really likes living in Mayapur. He really likes being there. He likes the food, he likes the people, he likes the atmosphere. And he said, is this a problem, Srila Prabhupada? I thought devotional service was meant to be difficult. And Prabhupada said, well, you know what, you are very fortunate that you like the situation where you're in, but this is not the important thing. Whether you like it or you don't like it, it doesn't matter. But your guru has told you to go there, and you're doing that. That's the important thing. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Jai. Thank you very much for coming, class. And Hare Krishna. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.